there's this fear that this AI future is going to come a lot faster than we're prepared for. That's what you kind of started your answer. You're just like, I think it's coming. AI agents are like going to take over some stuff. It's a matter of time. And that like time thing is what's like really the core of the question here. Because like, for example, if we were having this conversation just 3 years ago, February 2022, OpenAI launched ChatGPT as like a research preview before it went mega viral. It would have been crazy 3 years ago to say that, 400 million people every week on the planet are using ChatGPT for a variety of shit. Even my parents are using ChatGPT, and it feels crazy to say. And it's only been 3 years. Like, I've dramatically changed how I work, even like run my life, find information. Not everyone is there yet, but 400 million people are there yet every week. And like, I think that the question I have is like, do you worry that we're under preparing people in ops or in sales or in marketing by focusing too much on like the all right, let's figure out how to walk. Here's an intro to ChatGPT and how to get comfortable with AI instead of like adding more urgency to this because it
Mm.
could be coming a lot faster than we're prepared for. Like, what if all the vendors that are talking about how to sprint with AI and hyping this future, what if like they're in the right and it's the users that are just like too slow to adapt that in a couple of years they're going to look back and they're going to be like, you know what? I wish I had taken a couple of hours during my day when I'm not on the call or I'm not following up with sales and I had like taken my own initiative to like learn about this and experiment and stuff like that. Like, what are your thoughts there?
I I do think that's true. I think that it is on the users and on the day-to-day sales and customer success and support reps to find the time and figure out where they're spending their time, where AI can be added to it, because I do think it is coming and it's coming faster. Like you said, like we have no idea. Like I'm in my mind right now with what we have now, I'm like, oh yeah, like I could see like in 2 to 3 years, but like we have no idea what could launch tomorrow and completely change that game. And I think when I think about, we were talking about this, but like I consider myself to be non-technical, so I really only started playing around with ChatGPT uh, early last year, so early 2024. I felt late at the time. I felt
Mm,
like, oh, everyone's talking about it, and I'm really intimidated, and I don't know where to start with this. I'm so glad. And so at the time, I almost felt like maybe I'm just not going to be an AI person. And so I should just like not even worry about it. And
mm,
I'm just so grateful now because same with you. I use it for everything. I mean, I use it all the time. And I frequently think, especially with like marketing projects, like how did I previously not use this? Like, how did I not have this kind of like assistant helping me think through ideas and stuff like that? And so I do think that the tech and the vendors are going to push us, and I think that it is up to the users to keep up with that. And I think the solution is that there's always going to be more technical people who are jumping on that train and learning about this stuff.
yeah.
I would say like I'm probably in the middle. There's super technical people who know all of this stuff and are implementing it, and doing all of that. And then there's a lower level of people who are still hesitant and learning. And I think what needs to happen more is there needs to be more content, or I think we need to find a way to make AI more approachable, because
Mm.
those we need to get people kind of caught up to the midline, or and then like the midline needs to be caught up to the experts. Like I think we all need to keep getting better, but it seems like um there's not a lot to make people feel like it's approachable, I think, in some ways. So I think that's a big thing that I'm thinking about in like in terms of the marketing that we're doing at Arrows, is like how do we make AI approachable for people who are in sales, who are in CS, to start building that muscle and start just learning to trust it and think, "Oh, this just helped me do this. I wonder if it could do this." And I think it's like that curiosity that the individual user has to kind of lean into to figure out how could it help me in this way? And I think one other kind of piece of it is I think you have to think about AI in bits and pieces. Like, I think people want to have this whole big vision. Like, it's easy to jump for like, I'm not using AI at all, or not in the way that I want. And then there's this version of, yeah, like AI is taking over my job and it's doing everything, and I only have to do like phone calls maybe, but I don't have to do any of
Mm.
like the work in between. And there's a lot that has to happen. in order to reach that state. And so I think
Mhm.
starting small with like small little things that it can just help you do is the best way forward.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I think the content side can get a lot more approachable and get folks kind of like introduced to it when they're like not at that stage yet. I think like something that makes it tricky too is that a lot of tools today seem to be designed in a vacuum when it comes to like AI features. And you read about some of this stuff in the terminology and they all sound the same, but they all do something different. And they're like built for ideal workflows, but for users who like tag every record perfectly and document every process and magically have time to do all that. Like we know in the real world that's not we're not there yet. Like do you think many features and especially in your research like for the note takers, like many of the features are solving problems that no one really has yet? Like do you think that keeps happening?
I think it's happening, and I think the thing that I think that's definitely happening. I think the thing that needs to happen is that people need to it's kind of going back to my same answer, but it's like the okay, so if we take the AI note takers, right? So a lot of the criticism, like you said, that I got of like my post is like you're only looking at the notes. That's like
Mhm.
basic. That is like table stakes.
Yeah.
Everyone should have good notes. Well, I tested 22 of them and I didn't find that
Hmm.
they all had great notes, but there is a layer on top of that where a lot of those tools do have some agentic AI features in them. And that's great. And you should have both. And when you're considering purchasing a tool, if you want to have more AI and agentic AI workflows, you should make sure that that tool has it. But you still have to make sure that it has a baseline level of output. And I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is too, is like we do get attracted to these like shiny agentic features and we're like, oh my God, that's possible. Okay, but who's implementing it? Like who has the time to set that up? And again, like I think the people that we see on LinkedIn are like they're setting that stuff up and talking about it because they know that that's going to do well on LinkedIn. And the
Mhm.
people that are actually in the day to day operating at these companies, everyone has so much on their plate. Like I just think that there's like a we have to be realistic with what we can actually set up right now that's actually going to help us. And I think a lot of times it's the more basic things and the more basic functionality that actually moves the needle. And then we can have a vision of what the agentic workflows are going to look like and how that's going to enable our teams. But it's sometimes I think a little bit more of like a dream state rather than like the reality of like buying a tool, implementing it, and just having it do a baseline good job of what you bought it for.